President Trump, of course, has described all of the cases against him as election interference. How do you see it?
Yeah, 100%. Look, what's clear and became clear shortly after he came down that escalator in June of 2015, all those years ago, was that he was leading a movement. He wasn't just an average candidate. He was actually leading a movement that we now know as America First. That movement, with him on top, is unstoppable. So despite everything that the deep state and the Uni Party and the military industrial complex and the globalists and the imperial media have thrown at this man, he is not just still standing, Terrence, but he is thriving. He's leading, obviously, in the GOP polls by 50, 60, 70 points. And in the general election, he's leading the incumbent president, Joe Biden, by significant amounts. So, the left and the deep state and the enemies of Donald Trump and the movement he leads have been trying everything to stop this man for 8 years. And this year, they've settled on lawfare. So you laid out all of those bogus court cases that have him tied up in court, which, of course, is the objective by the left. They can't stop him at the ballot box. So they're trying to stop him by making the process the punishment. So many of these cases, none of them have any grounding in any actual law or wrongdoing on the part of President Trump. So what they're trying to do is distract him, Terrence, drain his resources, keep him off the campaign trail. And then, of course, they would love to secure a conviction before Election Day on any one of these cases so that he is a convicted felon going into the election, which they believe will so cripple him he won't be able to win. I think all of this is backfiring on them in spectacular fashion because, like a superhero, every time he is hit, he only gets stronger.
Is this kind of what we're seeing right now? Do you see this as an indictment of the current system? And I'm talking specifically about this 2 tiers of justice. President Biden treated one way, President Trump treated a completely different way for pretty much the very same thing. Will this ultimately backfire, and will this be something that is an indictment on the system as a whole in your mind?
Yeah, and that's the critical point, Terrence. I'm so glad that you raised it because even people who may not necessarily like Donald Trump or voted for him in 16 or 20 are now taking a serious look at him because they see how incredibly warped the justice system is. And it's not just the executive branch with a corrupt Department of Justice and a corrupt FBI, but it's also now a corrupt judicial system as well, where you have these crazy, biased, essentially communist judges sitting in judgment of Donald Trump over complete nonsense. He's not done anything wrong in any of these cases, but the left has manufactured something, and then it goes into the judicial system, which we had all been taught was fair and justice is blind. And now we all see clearly that it's not. So it is backfiring on them. And look, Terrence, the massive pile-on of all of these cases is also creating a bit of whiplash, too, against them, against the left, against Trump's enemies. Because, look, if they had just come at him with one case and not been greedy about the pile-on, maybe people who didn't like Trump would have said, well, maybe he's guilty of something. Let me see how it goes. But instead, they got greedy and they went ahead with all of these cases. And it's turned a lot of people off because it's woken them up saying, you know what, if they want him sidelined that badly over just wanting to make America great again, he must be onto something. I'm going to take a second look at him.